Breaking news. A ceasefire between India and Pakistan holds, bringing cautious optimism to the region. In a dramatic turn of events, a ceasefire agreement between two of South Asia's most powerful nations, India and Pakistan, is now in effect, and for the first time in days, the skies over the disputed region of Kashmir are quiet. Celebrations erupted across major Pakistani cities after the ceasefire was announced, signaling not only relief but also a renewed, if fragile, hope for peace in a region long plagued by conflict. The local time was around 5 p.m. when the news was confirmed, ending a brutal four-day span of direct military strikes between the neighboring countries. The violence had many worried that the world was witnessing the beginning of yet another full-scale war over Kashmir, a conflict that has shaped subcontinental geopolitics for over 7 decades. U.S. claims involvement in brokered peace. Adding an international dimension to this development, former U.S. President Donald Trump announced that his administration had facilitated the truce and subsequently took credit for brokering the peace agreement. However, there have been conflicting reports and statements from both Indian and Pakistani officials, creating ambiguity about the extent of the U.S. role in the negotiations. As global powers weighed in, the ceasefire became not just a matter of regional diplomacy, but a test of international relations in a deeply polarized and nuclear-armed part of the world. Celebrations and Thanksgiving in Pakistan. We now turn our attention to Islamabad, where CNN's Nick Robertson reports live amid scenes of national jubilation. "It's being called a day of Thanksgiving," Robertson said, describing scenes of Pakistanis pouring into the streets, waving flags and chanting prayers of gratitude to Allah in praise for the nation's armed forces. "There's a sense of unity and relief here," he continued. "Let's not forget, this was not a minor skirmish. India's airstrikes penetrated deeper into Pakistan than at any point in the last 50 years. People here are aware that the situation could have escalated dramatically. Pakistan has fought multiple wars with India, most notably in 1947, 1965, and 1971, each time centered around Kashmir, a mountainous region split by a line of control, but claimed in its entirety by both nations. The most recent round of fighting saw India allegedly targeting strategic locations deep inside Pakistani territory, including sites near Rawalpindi and Lahore, two cities close to key military installations. According to Robertson, this time, Pakistan's gratitude wasn't limited to the United States. Officials have thanked several nations, including Turkey, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and even Greece. But perhaps the most critical support came from China, a longtime ally whose military aid and intelligence sharing reportedly played a key role in Pakistan's response. A different story in New Delhi. Meanwhile, in India's capital of New Delhi, a starkly different narrative is emerging. CNN's Matthew Chance reports that India has downplayed the involvement of any international parties, especially the U.S. There's a deeply rooted policy here in India of refusing to allow outside interference, particularly when it comes to Kashmir, Chance explained. India has consistently opposed any form of international mediation, viewing the issue as a strictly bilateral one. This reluctance is driven in part by nationalism and concerns over sovereignty. Indian officials have been firm in their assertion that the ceasefire was a unilateral agreement made on India's terms, not the result of external pressure. The roots of a dangerous escalation. To further analyze the significance of this ceasefire, we consulted Bobby Ghosh, a respected geopolitical analyst and former editor of the Hindustan Times. "This marks a more dangerous era in Indo-Pak relations," Ghosh warned. "Historically, these flare-ups follow a pattern: an attack by militants, Indian retaliation, and a limited response from Pakistan. But this time, both nations crossed new thresholds. India targeted military facilities deep within Pakistan, and Pakistan responded in kind. According to Ghosh, this escalation has raised the stakes for any future confrontation. Each time the bar is raised, the next conflict has to go even further to satisfy public expectations," he explained. "That's a terrifying prospect when both sides have nuclear capabilities." The violence had already drawn comparisons to the Kargil conflict of 1999, another clash that nearly led to full-scale war. Yet even that crisis didn't see the level of strategic targeting that occurred during these recent 4 days of hostilities. Mediation or coincidence? Despite President Trump's claims, the mediation effort involved more than one country. Pakistani officials have reported diplomatic outreach from at least 36 countries, suggesting a broad international effort to de-escalate the crisis. India, however, remains tight-lipped and skeptical. This is typical of India's approach to Kashmir, Ghosh noted. Even during UN debates, India has consistently opposed resolutions that appear to invite third-party intervention. Nonetheless, both sides appear to have found enough mutual interest to agree on a truce. While the guns have fallen silent for now, the path ahead remains perilous. Kashmir's core issues, disputed territory, terrorism, cross-border infiltration, and water sharing, remain unresolved. Water wars loom on the horizon. The Indus Waters Treaty, a decades-old agreement governing water sharing between India and Pakistan, is also under strain. India has recently threatened to suspend water flows into Pakistan, a move that could trigger another major crisis. Water from the Indus River system is vital to Pakistan's agriculture and food security. If India actually carries out this threat, warned one Pakistani official, it could be seen as an act of war. A region at a crossroads. As we reflect on this fragile peace, one question looms large. Is this just a pause before the next round of conflict, or can it be the foundation for lasting resolution? For now, residents in border villages and the broader populations of both nations are breathing a collective sigh of relief. But many are also asking how long it will last, especially with political leaders using these events to bolster nationalistic fervor at home. Global reactions and the role of technology. International response has varied, with NATO calling for continued restraint and the UN urging both parties to return to dialogue. Satellite data and real-time social media coverage played an unprecedented role in publicizing this conflict, raising public awareness and fueling fast-moving narratives on both sides. Meanwhile, misinformation spread rapidly online. Several videos and images claiming to show destruction or airstrikes were later debunked, underlining the need for media literacy and responsible journalism in times of crisis. Closing thoughts. This ceasefire represents a delicate pause in a much larger and more dangerous dance of geopolitics. The people of Kashmir continue to live under uncertainty, caught between two nuclear powers with long histories of mistrust and animosity. Peace, while desperately needed, remains elusive. The international community, regional leaders, and global citizens must continue to demand transparency, dialogue, and a genuine commitment to resolution. As we watch the region closely for the next developments, let us not forget the human cost of war and the immense value of peace. Subscribe to my channel, Pulse of the World, for more in-depth global analysis, breaking updates, and thoughtful perspectives on the stories shaping our planet.